Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. Welcome to this Dawn Busters. We have we're running about 5 minutes late, but that's usually the case. I wanted to start exactly 5:30 Central Time, but it didn't work out. Here's Crown Royal. This is the last Taste Challenge for Crown Royal in this series, round robin tournament. Crown Royal Canadian blended whiskey, introduced in 1939. No age statement. Contains 50 different whiskeys. It's from Manitoba, Canada. It's owned by Diageo for the last 20 years. It was introduced by Seagram's company in 1939, and then 61 years later, Seagram's went out of business, and Diageo bought the Crown Royal assets, not to mention a bunch of others. Now, the competitor, I'm going to go rinse the top of this off. These things sit around. Yeah, so I wanted to rinse off the top. This was introduced by Sazerac Company in 2010 at the earliest and 2011 at the latest. I never could pin down an exact date, but I know it was not earlier than 2010, and it was no later than 2011. That's why I put introduced circa 2010, meaning around that time. There's the back label talking about how great it is. There's the front with the crown, the rich and rare emblem, and the crown for Canada. Remember when they started Canada, they were going to call it the Kingdom of Canada, but they decided it would be a better idea to call it the Dominion. They gave it the Dominion of Canada. The official name has always just been Canada. That's another story for another time. It's got a plastic cap, like a crown, you know, fancy pants. Oh, it'll run you about, I guess about $12 a bottle. It's got these grain stalks embossed into the bottle. It's a medicine bottle design, much like the MD 2020 wines, except those are plain bottles with a plain cap. They're very super cheap. This is a little nicer, of course. Now, if you get the big handle bottle of this, it's plastic, but the 750 is glass. And rich and rare Canadian whiskey, a blend. So we about 10th anniversary. Says distilled in Canada in small batches and aged patiently in hand-picked oak barrels. Rich and rare reserve delivers a distinctive smoothness and unparalleled elegance. Wow, you can get this bottle for $12, maybe $13, and it has unparalleled elegance. Now, that's a bold statement. There's no whiskey anywhere on planet Earth, from what they're saying, that can match its elegance. You say, well, that doesn't mean anything. That's like empty marketing terminology. Exactly. What they call glittering generalities. It sounds pretty, but it doesn't mean anything. It says imported and bottled in the USA by Sazerac Company, Frankfort, Kentucky. Now, if it's a bourbon, they're going to call it Buffalo Trace Distillery. But if it's one of these Canadian whiskeys or a blended American whiskey that they don't really want to talk about too much, but this wouldn't, they do talk about this. We'll get to that in a moment. Then they're going to call it Sazerac, Frankfort, Kentucky. Is it two different distilleries? No, it isn't. It's the same place. Buffalo Trace is owned by Sazerac Company. Buffalo Trace Distillery is more of a marketing name. It's really just the Sazerac, Frankfort, Kentucky distillery location. They got one in Bardstown, Kentucky, which they call Barton 1792 Distillery. Another name they just made up. They've got, what is it, Fleischmann's in Owensboro, Kentucky, mostly a bottling plant. I think there's one in Louisville. I don't even know the name of that. They'll never say the names. It's always got different names, like County Line Distillers, the Founders Company. It's just a Sazerac operation. They got White Rock Distilling over there in Lewiston, Maine, which they had acquired from eventually from Seagram's, down the line. They've got Sazerac Canada, and nobody really knows where their locations are, and so on. But you get the picture. And then there's Sazerac House in New Orleans, their headquarters. The literal headquarters, because the top floors are the offices, and the bottom 3 floors is the showcase, where you can go on a tour for free, at least in normal times, not in the these demic times. But they might have things going on over there. So now let's take into account Rich and Rare Reserve. Now, Rich and Rare did not match the quality of Crown Royal 2 days ago. I didn't expect it to. But on the other hand, it wasn't $15 worse. I don't believe it. Not in my opinion. Could you tell them apart? Sure. The Crown Royal seemed to be a nicer product. Yes. But $15? Mm-mm. You might say it's better by a $15 a bottle difference. I don't think it's anywhere close to that. Now, a lot of people are going to argue with Rich and Rare Reserve that it's even with Crown Royal in quality and perhaps even surpasses Crown Royal in quality. From my recollections, it's close. But is it going to be a $10 a bottle difference? I don't think it will be. That's my prediction. I'll be able to tell them apart. I've only got it wrong once with Crown Royal, and all these challenges got it wrong one time. But we'll see. I just don't think Crown Royal has done okay in the taste challenges. Done okay. Hasn't done as well as I thought. I thought it was just going to smash and demolish all the competitors, but has not really done that. It's arguably better, but I just don't see Crown Royal. I don't see the major price difference. Okay, you might. I don't. Don't hate it. Obviously, gave it a good score. I'm glad I bought the bottle. $44.99 with the big handle bottle plus 2 glasses, beautiful glasses. Yeah, I've gone through probably 33% of the bottle already. Taste challenging. I got so many Canadian whiskeys. That's what's happening. I'm challenged. When you do all the taste challenges, the half of it be gone just in one round. One brand tournament. All right, Rich and Rare. Got about 20% of this left. I got this bottle on a great deal. $10.99. No, I want to retract that. It was $9.99. But this was years ago, about 3 years ago, and when Dixie had some like crazily low price. You'll never see it that price over there today. Never, 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 never. But if you shop around, you can find good. Or did I buy it at Mathern's for $9.99? It was one of those. It was like an unusually low price. But if you go back, you're not going to get it for that price. But still, it's been a great value. Got one little grit caught in my teeth. I was eating grits this morning. Quaker. No. Quaker grits was not what I had. I had great value. which are much cheaper than Quaker, but they taste remarkably identical to Quaker. And I think if you check the establishment code where the Great Value grits were made and where the Quaker grits were made, you might be very shocked, but maybe not shocked. Maybe you say that's why they have a remarkably identical taste. I was trying to avoid doing this, but there is a difference in the level, and that could make a difference in the challenge because you can sometimes feel the weight. You can sometimes feel the weight differential. And I don't want to have that problem, especially when these are sort of similar in flavor. So let's go look at the appearance. Well, still not quite level, but it's close. The Crown Royal and the Richard Reserve are pretty much the same color. Amber gold, more amber than gold. It is a $10 difference for the bottles, so that's where we stand. If any of y'all have ever had Crown Royal, silly question. Most people have had it. I was one of the few left that had never had it. And I finally bought it. Did I find that Crown Royal was like really exciting and fantastic and had a lot of action? No, I thought it was rather bland, dull, boring. You know what I'm saying? But it's got to be that way because really it's targeting a mass audience, and they're making it to appeal to people all around the world. And if it's too exotic, they're not gonna go for it. So that's why Crown Royal is sort of like that. Jack Daniel's the flagship with Brown-Forman. It's just kind of bland. To me, it's sort of too corn grits. It's not that great. Now, my friend David claims it used to be way better in the early 80s. I don't know. I never drank it until like 4 years ago. So I don't know what it tastes like. Budweiser or Bud Light in America, it's just going to be standardized because it's got to appeal to a lot of people. And so on, Johnny Walker Red in Scotland and Jameson Irish whiskey in Ireland. It's just going to have those. Jim Beam, could say that's a bland bourbon, So it's just going to have that to appeal to a lot of people. Now, the good thing about these companies, you don't have to stay at that level. If you say, I want to try something more exciting and new, well, then they have levels that go much more exotic, much more intense, and then you can get a lot more flavor, and that those will appeal to less and less people the more intense and exotic and bold you get. They got the Budweiser Nitro Reserve right now, the Budweiser Gold, Nitro Reserve Gold. No rice, no corn. It's an all malt craft style nitro lager. Would not appeal to most Budweiser drinkers. But then on the other hand, it wasn't designed to appeal to most Budweiser drinkers. It was designed to once again make an attempt to get into the specialty beer market, which Anheuser-Busch has been trying to do with Budweiser for 50 years and never did catch on. And all that. All right, so Urjo says Seagram's 7 is bland too. Yeah, another example. It's got a little bit more flavor than Crown Royal, but don't let anybody hear me saying that. Dr. Frosty Brew says, cheers, Ron. Cheers to you. Now, if I get time today, and that's questionable, I would like to redo the video on the Constitution and all of that. I just got people saying, why'd you delete it? I didn't delete it because I was embarrassed or disagreed with the content. I did not. I didn't like the way I combined two topics. And there was one statement I made that I don't agree with, but I mean, that's minor, it's like trivial, but I would like to redo it. And it's really not my opinion. That video is really not my opinion. It's not you saying, well, that's just the way you think about it. No, actually, it's facts. It's the way it is. It's the fact of the matter. See, so I think it's very important to do the video because it's not about, well, that's what you think. We're going to agree to disagree. I think a different way. I don't ever agree to disagree with things that are not factually accurate. It would be like saying, oh, well, you think World War II was 1939 to 1945, but in my truth says it was 1950 to 53. We'll just have to agree to disagree. I would say, no, I'm not going to agree to disagree, because what you're saying has no factual basis. It makes no sense. We could argue about whether it was good or bad. That's an opinion. Then we can argue about that. You take your side, I take mine. We argue. Debate. All right. Like these. We can debate whether Crown Royal is better or Rich and Rare is better. That's fine. You get the point. Some people can't get the point because they don't have the brains to get the point. I'm sorry. They don't have the IQ level. They think they're smart. They think they're smart, but their statements they make would indicate otherwise. And I'm sorry, I'm not saying that to be haughty, stuck up, prima donna, any of those things. I'm just saying this is the case. You got to be able to, it's important to be able to evaluate, think, consider, and so forth. Very pungent, bold, strong grain in the nose. Pungent, bold, strong grain. Now, very strong. I'm talking about how Crown Royal is so denuded and bland. It is that way in the taste. But the aroma, the aroma's pretty out there, pretty loud. You say, but people don't buy Crown Royal and put it in a snifter glass neat and roll it around and drink it that way. They mix it with Coke. On the rocks, Crown and Coke. Where have you been? Been my boss? Yeah, I know. I know what Crown Royal is used for. I know the utilization. First thing they go to on their website is, let's look at all the cocktails you can make. The great mixer ideas. I know. They're not going to focus on drinking it neat. They don't even recommend drinking it neat. They don't even push that idea. Okay, much different nose, much different nose, much different nose. Not as loud, softer, subtler, caramel, candy, caramel, sugar thing. I can't really describe these adequately. This has got to be Rich and Rare Reserve because it harkens back. It's not identical, but it harkens back, takes you back a step or two or four to the standard Rich and Rare. Standard Rich and Rare. Now, the standard Rich and Rare is a much rougher cut, younger product, obviously, and it's much more heavy-handed on the almond extract taste. They don't use that. But you said, what is it? Is it white rum, silver rum? Is it sherry wine? What's giving it that strange idiosyncratic flavor? I don't know. It's something there. Okay. This harkens to that, but it doesn't go there, but it's leading you there. Nutty, 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 nutty. Some people watching this say, oh yeah, you're nutty. Yeah, buddy. But it's got nutty qualities. I know it's Rich and Rare Reserve. I know it's Rich and Rare Reserve. I don't know if I mentioned it to you, but I know it's Rich and Rare Reserve. If that's not Crown Royal, this whole video means nothing. But it is Crown Royal, and I'm going to call it before I even taste it. I'm going to call it before I even taste it. You know what? Before I even taste this, I'm calling it CR. It's going to say CR. I'm telling you. And you know this, man. Ha, ha, ha. How you feel? Played? Yeah, you should. Look, I got it wrong one time. Okay, maybe I was tired. Maybe I was sleeping. Maybe I was just wrong. But Crown Royal is distinct. So don't get on the internet talking about it tastes like everything else and there's no difference. Because look, it doesn't taste like everything else and there is a difference. There is a difference. There is a difference. There is a difference. Is it a $10 difference here? I don't think so. Very specific analogy, says Urjo. Crown Royal Crown. Ronald, thoughts on Crown Royal Crown. Ronald, thoughts on public speaking. I believe people should do public speaking if they want to. Fet says, anytime you give your opinions on something, you think out loud and you challenge yourself in a devil's advocate sort of way. Oh, you're talking about me. Considering your potential opponent's argument fairly is hard. Right. But I think it's a good idea. Okay. Because I might even agree with it. You say you might agree with the opposite opinion. I might change. I might be like Hillary Clinton and evolve. Then again, I might not. Very standard Crown Royal-esque. Sweet corn, some barrel char, believe it or not. Some rye spice, some malt whiskey, like the bread dough, the bread dough, It is smooth. It's sugary though, boy, oh boy. If you don't like sugar, look, I don't know why a person would make a video and say how terrible Crown Royal is. I watched all the Crown Royal reviews I could find. I actually don't remember anybody saying how terrible it was. I don't believe anyone said that. Now, some people were saying it's pretty unremarkable and it's not worth it. So, but I don't believe that. It is remarkable in a way. It has character. It's distinct. Because see, if it wasn't distinct, how did I get it right? What, 12 out of 13 times? That ain't luck. How did I get it right 12 out of 13 times? There is something about Crown Royal where you don't get it confused. I mean, you will, but you don't generally. But is it worth the $23 a bottle? Well, that's your wallet. That's my wallet. That's your purse. That's not my purse, but it's your pocketbook, my pocketbook, whatever. Your money bag, my money bag. I have no regrets for buying the bottle. I'm happy I bought the bottle. I'm pleased with the bottle. Would I recommend Crown Royal? Yes, I would. Don't say I'm in the whiskey game and you're not going to play Crown Royal as one of your cast members. I know who that is, and I ain't answering it. You have to. Crown Royal has to be in the mix. It has to be. It's part of the game. It's the major player. You can't do Canadian whiskey and not cover Crown Royal. There's no sense to that. Now, is it the greatest thing? I don't know what the greatest thing is. I'm pretty sure I've never tried the greatest thing. Rich and rare. Honestly, and I'm honest on this channel, make people angry with honesty sometimes. I'm sorry, I can't help that. I'm not going to change. I'm not going to change. Well, I have to say that this one screams a lot more grain alcohol. There's a lot more overt grain alcohol. You say, you mean like rubbing alcohol type thing? Yes, I would say so. Is it as smooth as Crown Royal? Not by any stretch of the imagination. Does it seem to be a lower quality product? Yes, I think it is cheaper. Now, some people that say it's better than Crown Royal and all that, I don't see that. I think they just want to believe it because they're saving $10 a bottle. They want to convince themselves. Or maybe they just actually think it tastes better, but I can't see how they could think that. I don't understand that. Crown Royal just seems to be more developed, more complex. I don't know about older. Just better. It's a better, more enjoyable product. Am I ripping on Rich and Rare Reserve? No, I'm not ripping on it. I like it. It's fine. They have no website, and their Facebook page is useless as far as getting any information about it. It's simply the Rich and Rare Reserve Facebook page consists mainly of pretty photos, and it'll be like a picture of it, showing barbecue ribs in the background on the grill. It's grilling time, you know, and it looks nice. But to find out about the product, worthless. Can't get any information. What is it made with? You know, when was it introduced? What are the operations behind it? Nothing. It's all a marketing page. It's not. Crown Royal has apple in it. You're thinking of Crown Royal apple. Okay. Sliced bread. Yeah, I like sliced bread. I got a loaf in the fridge that I have to slice myself. Right now. You get a little bit of that caramel candy. The funny thing about Rich and Rare Reserve is that when you first start with it, you say, man, this is pretty good. It's really good. And you might say the same thing with Crown Royal at that same approachable point. But here's the clincher on it. I've noticed with Crown Royal, the more I drink it, I keep thinking it and drinking it, drinking it and thinking it, thinking it and drinking it. The more I do it, and I've done a lot of it, as you can see right now. Look how much thinking I've been doing. You say, boy, you got a lot of thinking going on, right? Yes. You can see. It's like every time you sip on it, it goes up. You discover little mysteries. You solve little mysteries or learn about new ones that yet to be solved. So it's like every time you play around with Crown Royal, it improves. It's like another layer has come off, and you say, oh, it's amazing, really. Now, that's a great sign. You say, well, I'm in a big rush. I don't have time to taste Crown Royal. If you're in a big rush, it's not going to work. It has to be done slowly, measured, careful, thinking. But it keeps going up. Rich and Rare Reserve is almost the complete opposite. When I first tried it, I said, oh, yeah, this is really good. And then you try it a second time. And the third, maybe you don't notice a change, fourth, fifth. But then around the sixth, seventh time, you start saying, man, I don't know. This thing it begins to expose deficits, detriments. Now, isn't that amazing? It's like lower quality areas begin to be exposed. You say it's the law of diminishing returns. Every time you try it, there's less payoff. It's like eating a carton of ice cream. The first serving was awesome. The second serving was pretty good. The third serving, it's not so good. The fourth, you want to gag. You know, that's if you were doing that all during the day. You know, if it's one a week, it may not matter. But the thing about the Rich and Rare, just seems to decline, slowly declines over time. So now, don't think I'm saying it's terrible in any way. It is not terrible. It's very far from terrible. It doesn't even approach terrible. All right. We want to put this in a proper perspective. But it will expose certain deficits. It's like when Dr. Lecter told Will, the investigator, FBI field agent, he said, well, then how'd you catch me? He said, you had weaknesses. And see, this has weaknesses. They're not apparent, but they're there. And the more you drink on it, you'll see them. And of course, he said, what weaknesses? And he said, you're insane. This, this is not to that level, but okay. So Crown Royal wins, the clear winner today, which I expected. Rich and Rare did, okay. But there is a little bit of a screaming grain alcohol problem. Yeah, a little problem. On the other hand, I would recommend it for $13 a bottle. I think you're doing fine. You're doing just fine. Wouldn't go higher than that. No way. But it doesn't match up to Crown Royal. Now, is it a $10 bottle difference? I I guess you got to decide with your spending habits, right? It's all up to you. But I think Crown Royal is the clear winner. It's actually done, but overall it hasn't done that well, because some of the lower grade products, they've actually performed better against Crown Royal than this one, which is sort of a gourmet cheap product. You know what I'm saying? A gourmet cheap product. Yeah, it's kind of like that. But it's fine. It's fine. All right. So there we go. That's the situation at hand. It is what it is. It's been 30 minutes. It's fascinating. A fascinating taste challenge. Not anything that I wasn't expecting, however. Only thing I wasn't expecting is that the Rich and Rare would scream more grain alcohol. You know, I didn't expect it to be that abrasive in a way. Now, do we have anything exciting coming up? I should say so. Grant's Triple Wood used to be called Grant's Family Reserve, but for whatever reason they decided to call it Triple Wood because they treat it in 3 different wood types. I didn't think it was too great, but remember, that's the initial tasting. I've only tasted it once. These things have to develop. It might go up. I don't believe it will, but we'll find out. We're going to do taste challenges with Grant's blended Scotch whiskey, William Grant and Sons. It may even start today. May not even wait till Fandango Friday. Fandango Friday might just be me doing a wine, which would be a shout out to Jean-Pierre. So thanks for watching this video production. Everyone have a great, safe, wonderful Thursday. How much vanilla taste is in Crown Royal? You said. Joe says. Oh, I would say minimal, but it's there. It is there. It's not screaming vanilla, but it's there. There's no doubt about that. Thank you.